This is one of the most controversial songs ever written. The story starts here, where the wind and the rain batter the Scottish mountains amidst the bloody struggle for Scottish independence. The song is, of course, Ye Jacobites By Name, and it has its origins in the Jacobite Rising. Charles Edward Stuart, who was a Scottish leader, had a claim to the English throne, and he was willing to take it by force. So in 1745, Charles and an army of Jacobites marched to Edinburgh, and they took it. And then they marched further south to attack England, with the promise that French reinforcements and some English sympathisers would join them when they arrived. But tragically for the Jacobites and for Scottish independence, the reinforcements never arrived. Ye Jacobites By Name is one of the most controversial songs in the Scottish folk canon, and it's often attributed to this chap, who you may have heard of, called Robert Burns. But as you can see here, it suggests that he was piecing together his version from older traditional versions, but there's not really much evidence of what those songs sounded like. Last month, in the middle of a very cold December, then me and my brother Ben headed up to the Isle of Mull to film a music video for my version of Ye Jacobites By Name. I wanted to go somewhere that felt close to the music, and this song is angry and it's passionate, and the weather really did not disappoint. On the way up, then we stopped so we could delve into a bit of the history of this song for you, so you can join us on that adventure. Now, I must apologise, when we stopped, then it got quite rainy, and we were also beside quite a noisy river. Everyone assumes that Robert Burns wrote Ye Jacobites By Name, but that's not strictly true, because the Jacobite uprising was a little bit before his time. It was in 1746 at the Battle of Culloden that the Jacobites lost against the English army, sealing Scotland's fate as part of the British Isles. And this song, Ye Jacobites By Name, was a stirring protest song written at the time, calling on the Jacobites to rise up again, but also kind of in criticism of them for not succeeding in the first place. But much later on in 1791, when Robert Burns wrote his version, that was all history to him. There are several of Robert Burns' works where he will be talking about something from Scottish history, but he's actually using it to discuss something about current affairs at his time. When Robert Burns was writing poetry in this country, in Scotland, then he was not allowed the right to vote. Only the landed gentry had the right to vote, and he and his contemporaries were looking at what was happening in France during the French Revolution, and they were kind of jealous. They wanted something similar to happen over here. So what did Robert Burns do? Well, he looked back through Scottish history and he found a moment when everyone gathered together for one cause, and there was a song ready and waiting, Ye Jacobites By Name. So he decided to rewrite that song. But he rewrote it with the line, Ye Blacknebs By Name. And Blacknebs was the name of the Scottish revolutionaries at the time. Unfortunately for Robert Burns, he was working as an excise man, which meant that if he published his poem, he would probably lose his job. He was working for the British government. It was only last year, in January 2024, that Professor Gerard Carruthers at the University of Glasgow discovered a handwritten piece of paper with the original draft of Ye Jacobites By Name, rewritten by Robert Burns. So this is stuff that we only are just discovering now about the origin of his version of Ye Jacobites By Name. And you can see on the piece of paper that he scribbled out his original lyrics and then he rewrote it as Ye Jacobites By Name with a much more general anti-war sentiment. But by all accounts, everybody knew what he really meant when he published Ye Jacobites By Name. And I'd love to think that at the time, in pubs and taverns around Scotland, when people were singing this traditional anthem, that maybe they all joined in with a rousing chorus of Ye Blacknebs By Name. Ye Jacobites By Name is an anthem. It is one of my favourite Scottish traditional songs. The Corries do an amazing version of it, and I've headed here with my brother Ben. We're on the way to the Isle of Mull to record a music video for my version, and I hope you check it out and I hope you enjoy it. But before you listen, I want you to maybe think about what it means today, because I would hate the idea for an amazing song such as this to just become like an old curio sitting on the shelf gathering dust. I think Robert Burns' works are much more important than that and need to stay relevant. So if Robert Burns was around today, I wonder what he would mean by Jacobites if he were to rewrite that poem these days. I'll let you decide that for yourselves. The Jacobite uprising may have been hundreds of years ago, but in certain parts of Scotland there is still a lingering sense of anger towards the English and what happened during that part of history. In some ways it feels like it's a chapter that's not yet been properly closed and that there's an injustice that still remains. But where does that leave this song? When I first sung this song over 10 years ago, I just liked the tune and I got a real sense of passion from the lyrics and I enjoyed singing it. But I really had to wrestle with the idea of singing it again because I did wonder, is it appropriate to even sing it at all? But after doing lots of research, I've come to the conclusion that this is not really an anti-Jacobite song at all. If anything, I believe it was written from a point of frustration and sadness, criticising the Jacobites for not winning and hoping that perhaps they would take up arms and try again. But for me personally, that's not the part of this song's history that interests me the most. It's when Robert Burns got his hands on it and decided to use it to try and get conversations started around the right to vote. If Ye Jacobites By Name has played even a small part in getting us a fair democracy in this country, then I think that is a brilliant, brilliant thing, and this song deserves to be sung just to have that conversation. So I hope you'll check out my version of Ye Jacobites By Name. I've linked it in the description and I really hope you enjoy it and think it was worth the trip to the Isle of Mull. But before you watch it, then please let me know any versions of this song that you think I should check out or any other Scottish folk songs that you think I should listen to as well. Put them in the comments. And one last thing, I've also been working on a version of Far Over the Misty Mountains Cold, the song from The Hobbit. And we went on another adventure to the nearest place I could find to the actual Misty Mountains, which was of course the French Alps. So I hope you'll check that out soon when it lands on this channel. In the meantime, enjoy the video. Thanks for watching everyone.